Welcome to Fierce Fit Feminine and Other F Words, a place for women in business to learn more about health, beauty, body language, and communication. I'm Christine Brunelli, chiropractor and former beauty salon owner turned certified image consultant, helping you glow from the inside out. You know when it's hard to glow? When you're feeling lonely. This is a topic that people are not talking about enough. I'm seeing a trend even in women who are not business owners. They are not entrepreneurs. They're hungry for connection. But specifically today, I want to talk to you if you're a woman in leadership, a business owner, or you went from, like me, working outside of the home to inside of the home and how that feels isolating and lonely. Are you ready? Let's talk about what it's like. We already know that, but how can we combat it? How can we forge connections? Let's get started. Work from home, they said. The pandemic is a gift, they said. You can work in your PJs all day, they said. What they didn't say is that you're not going to see people during the day. And for some of you, probably not those of you listening to this, some of you found that as a godsend. You're not an extrovert. You don't like to be around people. And that's not anything that's an issue for you. So this episode is for people that are feeling isolated because you used to be out in the working world. Now you have retreated to work from home, or you are so busy in your work that you're not finding time for connections. And I've been in both of those places. In my beauty salon, it's very people-y, right? In a beauty salon, I sold it about a year ago. It really was one of the most favorite things I've ever done. I loved it. I loved being in there. I loved the vibe. I loved the energy. I loved the connection. And I loved my team that I worked with. My connection was deep with my team and with clients. We did hair and makeup and blowouts. The blowout people would come in weekly. So you start to learn about them. You hear their stories, you share. There's a lot of connection. And if you work outside of the home, you may have that experience. You know, if you're in cubicle life, it's a little hard unless you have like water cooler conversations. But being at a job where you have people, it's great. But what about the relationships? For example, for me, as the owner of that beauty salon, I didn't talk about my deepest, darkest things with those people because, one, I'm their employer, or I'm the owner of the business that they are patronizing, right? So I still needed to forge relationships outside of that, but I was so dang busy, right? Now, this was pre-pandemic, right? Before everything came to a screeching halt. And I wonder if you can relate to that. If you're just so busy, you might be busy running your kids around. Usually when we are with children at home, though, we're connected to other families. It is when our children get older, if you're a mom, that you start to notice the loneliness factor come in because you start having less in common with the people that you were hanging out with. So I don't know where you are, but I went from being in that busy world of I need to carve out time. I love all the people. Doesn't mean I didn't want to decompress, by the way. I'm full extrovert over here. I love people. I get energized by rooms of people, but I do need to get away and decompress and not talk, like no talking, right? All extroverts need that, but we thrive when we're around others. Well, fast forward to me selling the salon a little over a year ago and to working online, isolation, big time. One, I'm not around a team anymore. I'm solo. And if you're a solopreneur, I think you can relate to that. Two, my kids they fled the coop. They're older. I'm an empty nester. So I'm here, all alone with my dog. He's like at my feet. That's who I talk to most during the day when I'm not on Zoom with clients. I'm wondering if you can identify the feeling of, I'm working all day. When you're an entrepreneur, by the way, you do work more than you would if you clock in and clock out. Any business owner would tell you that. If you're a brick and mortar business owner, an online business owner, you work a lot, especially in the beginning. So now what I have to do is be really intentional about finding time to get myself away and connecting. How do we do it? How do we go from this feeling of, I just feel alone. I just want to hang out with the girls. I just want to go do something fun. But who am I going to do it with? Like literally, who am I going to do it with? Who would you call? If you live away from family like I do, you really feel like you have to find people to call, right? You don't have a big list. You are not alone, my friend. More people are in that situation than I think admit it. And I've noticed something on Facebook. Now, I'm in my community Facebook groups for my local town. I'm noticing that people are posting in some of these Facebook groups. They're usually like, hey, which school system do you like better? It's one of those things. Or I need a window cleaner. But I've noticed in the last 6 months, a lot of women, not all are entrepreneurs and business owners, by the way. I'd say 50%. A lot of them are saying, hey, I'm feeling like I need some girlfriend time and I have not lived here more than a year. I need to meet people. What can I do? And I read the comments and so many people that said, I've lived in this town 20 years and I've been lonely all 20. And then somebody else would be like, I would die for someone to just, create a community. Just let's go meet for margaritas on Friday, or let's create a hiking group. This is more than one post. This was one post I'm telling you about, but this has happened multiple times, maybe a dozen in the last 6 months in different Facebook groups for my local area. Now, I live in a place that's transient. You might live in a place where people don't move in and out. I live in a place where I'm in Seattle, a Seattle suburb. So there's Boeing, there's Amazon, there's all the tech companies. It's very fluid. People are in and out. It is hard because you feel like there's a revolving door. Like you just make a connection and somebody's job got transferred. Even happened when I was an employer. I would get employees that were fantastic and they'd get a job and have to move. Like their spouse or someone would get a job and they'd have to go. So if that's you, I want to talk about what we can do to move the needle so that we don't feel so lonely. I, by the way, am right there with you. I'm having to deal with this myself. That's partly why I'm talking about it, because I feel like there's no entrepreneurs that are really saying, yeah, it's lonely, let's fix it. What they're doing, some of them brilliantly, are creating masterminds that are built around connection. If you don't know what a mastermind is, it's not coaching. It's just people getting together that have a common interest. Maybe they are all in the beauty industry, for example, and they're solving their problems for each other. It's almost like roundtable discussions, and they meet on a regular basis. Maybe it's monthly, maybe it's quarterly, something like that. And they're charging for these masterminds. And the masterminds not only serve as I get my questions answered, but they forge connection. They give you something to look forward to. And I think that's brilliant. But they're also very spendy. I mean, you can spend upwards of, I know of some of them that are $150,000 a year. They can be as low as 20. Most of them are $15,000 and more to join, right? So you might be in a place where you can't do that. And how do we get over this sense of, I'm just here working with my computer all day. I talk to people on Zoom. I just want some girls to go out with, to hang out with. I want some girlfriends. I want real girlfriend time. My friend, if that's you, you are not alone. I am in the trenches too. No one is talking about it though, and I feel like it needs to be addressed because this not only affects our energy and our spirit, it's our mental health. You know, when you go out with friends and it's been a while and you come back like, that was so much fun, let's do it again. And do it again takes 6 months, doesn't it? There's a couple people I've been trying to connect with and get together for dinner with. You know how long it's taken? Over 1 year in a group chat. These people live less than 5 miles away from me. It's not because they don't want to get together. It's because they're working. They both are in positions of leadership or business ownership. They're busy, or they're planning a wedding for their daughter, or they got their daughter married, or they are seeing a guy who lives like 30 miles away, so they're not always in town. So coordinating our schedules, it's been a challenge. Can you relate to that? Just trying to get together with other women who are busy. And that's what I want to talk about. How do we forge these connections? Because we are busy. We are working. And it is something we have to be intentional about if we don't want to be alone all day long. We want to feed our soul and keep our mental health game strong. Okay, so Forbes did an article. I'm not going to take credit for all of this. I did some research and I know from my own experience what I can do, but I want to pull from Forbes as well. Are you ready? Let's talk about some things entrepreneurs can do or busy women, busy business owners can do right now to start feeling less lonely. Because I'm all about solutions and possibility. We're not staying stuck here, my friend. You're not staying stuck lonely. We're all about possibility. We're all about solutions. So let's do it. First things first. Let's just acknowledge the feeling. Let's just acknowledge it. That Forbes actually said that. You have to sit with the feeling of, it is lonely. This is hard. And sit with the feeling of, whose responsibility is it to get out of the loneliness? So there's some acknowledgement of the actual situation and acknowledgement of who gets to change it. And we are in the driver's seat. You are driving your own bus. And if you're not, you need to really think about that. You should be driving the bus. If someone is preventing you from having relationships, that's a whole other episode. We're not talking about someone keeping you isolated. I'm talking about you being busy. So acknowledge the feeling, go, yeah, this has sucked. This hasn't been so fun. Yeah, it's been fun at work, but I want a social life. I want to have, however many girlfriends. I don't know if you need a big girl gang or if you would just love to have like 2 or 3, but acknowledge it. And then sit with it and say, what am I going to do about it? Now, funny thing, the next thing on Forbes' list was one thing you can do is create a mastermind. That's the second thing they say. I already addressed that. Your mastermind can be free. You don't have to charge. But if you're entrepreneurial like I am, you could. You could say, hey, I'm in the business of, I'll pick something, graphic design, because graphic designers are usually working from their computer from home, right? At this point, because of the pandemic, everybody is kind of either hybrid or working from home only. So maybe you could find local graphic designers who are maybe in a certain demographic as you that you would love to hang out with and do some type of a reach to people and say, hey, I'm creating a mastermind group and we can meet monthly or whatever and bring these people together. Make sure that you're identifying the people you would like to hang out with, though. Don't let it just be a common interest around your work. You might be, for example, I'm a chiropractor, right? I don't always enjoy every chiropractor I hang out with. I mean, for the most part, I would say I enjoy the beauty industry world more. They're lighter. They walk lighter. They don't carry stress. Chiropractors are amazing and we can improve your life, but a chiropractor has to absorb a lot of people. I'm just getting into on a sidetrack, but we absorb a lot of people's pain, right? You're with people all day. They're in pain and there's a lot of seriousness to it. And they also take themselves too seriously. If I had to choose between 2 groups of who I want to hang out with, I would hang out with both, but I would probably spend most of my time with the people that don't take themselves so serious because that feeds me. If you're someone that likes to take things serious and you want to go deep on, cerebral conversations, then pick people like that. Create a mastermind with people that you identify with a common thread and you want to hang out with and do an invitation. It can be free to start. If it gets traction, you can charge for it. I might do this. And I'm looking forward to the idea. I love dreaming. I'm a visionary. So to me, I feel like female entrepreneurs need this desperately. So if you're in that boat, think about a mastermind. Okay, number 3, what do you love to do besides work? I'm going to assume you love your work because most of us, if we are in business, we love some component of our work. But what do you love to do besides that? I mean, in terms of a hobby, not who you want to hang out with, but in terms of a hobby. Have you let go of something that you used to love? For me, it's salsa dancing. Now, I still teach dance fitness classes and I play with salsa, for my own rehearsals before I teach my own practice. But before pandemic, I was also taking salsa lessons from competitive salsa dancers. It was so fun. And it stopped after the pandemic, of course, right? Dancing, social, all the things. But I am ready to get myself back in the studio because I met other people who love salsa dancing. It can be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be whatever I want it to be. But what about you? Are you into art? Are you into hiking? Are you into tennis? Are you into dancing? What are you into? Are you a reader? Could you start a book club? Find a hobby that you love and resurrect it. that is going to pull you out of loneliness because you're going to pull people back into your life that do the same things. There's in the US, and I know that this is a global audience, but in the US, there's meetups. It's called meetup.com, where you can do it through so you do meetup.com and you look and see what meetups are in your zip code. And it could be hiking, it could be bicycling, like, riding for long distances. It could be kayaking. It could be anything. There's different meetups in different categories. People have actually gone forward and created this out of wanting connection with like-minded people. So that is an option. You could just start getting a hobby resurrected. Why wouldn't you? Don't let those things die just because you're busy. I don't want to. I want to keep dancing until the day I can't take a breath anymore. And whatever it is for you that you love, I hope you resurrect that and start playing again. Okay, next thing. Seek out an accountability partner. Now, this is a Forbes suggestion, not mine. I am in pods that meet online, and we're global. So I meet in 2 different pods, and they're both global, and it's both online. I would say seek an accountability partner in person. Get away from the online. Find somebody in person that is also feeling what you're feeling, who is also a business owner or an employer or a woman of influence, woman in leadership, an entrepreneur, whatever, and meet in person. Make it be once a month or let it be every 8 weeks. Find an accountability partner. It's amazing. That could be a very beautiful friendship. Another thing you can do to connect is volunteer. So many volunteer opportunities, right? When we're busy, we don't always think about it. It's always easier to write a check and donate. It's harder to give your time, right? So a lot of people that are busy business people, business owners, you write checks for donations. You send money to the charities you love and want to support. But what if you actually showed up and you served? I know that is very fulfilling. I've done it. I personally love it because it also takes the focus off of your current situation and it puts the focus on helping someone else. When you need a hand, you give a hand, right? And it feeds your soul and you feel like, wow, I even made a difference. I connected with people and I made a difference. So volunteering, big deal. I feel like if you are super lonely and you don't know where to start, you don't have a friend to even call, go volunteer somewhere. Either serve meals or, there's donation places where people donate clothes. They need people to help sort. There's all different things you can do to volunteer. You can go volunteer to build a house, or go on a mission trip. It doesn't have to be faith-based. It can just be, community-based. There are volunteer opportunities with different groups like the Kiwanis, for example, Chamber of Commerce in your local area. All these different community service groups to volunteer will help you make connections. All right, next one. This is really good because it's not only going to help you connect with other people and build friendships, it's going to build your business. Step up your networking efforts in person. What networking opportunities are there where you live, in the business you do, or if not just in the business you do, just in the community? Where could you go? For me, it would be the local Chamber of Commerce, or I would find other women in business type groups that meet in person that are for the purpose of networking and getting to know them. And for some reason, we have resistance to that sometimes, don't we? Sometimes you are just so tired that you want to connect, but you think, I don't want to do this. I don't know these people. It's going to take a lot of energy. I know all the excuses. You're not alone. I'm a human. I know how it feels. But I'm giving you options of ways to get out of this entrepreneurial loneliness, ways that you can forge new connections that could create beautiful new friendships. You have to get yourself out there. And why not get yourself in the community where you live so that you can meet these people in person on a regular basis? You might not like it. And guess what? You don't have to go back if you don't. But maybe you should try. Maybe it's just you going for the first time. Give it a chance. And you might meet people you really vibe with. And then there's a point of connection where it's going to start on social media, or you're going to get somebody's phone number and they'll say, oh, this was so fun to get to know you. I'd love to meet again. You exchange numbers and away you go. If you get together again and go, yeah, that wasn't what I thought it was, you don't have to meet again. It's okay. This is all about putting yourself out there, but at the same time, you're building your business. Okay, here's another one. Forbes says, get a solo sport, learn a solo sport. I'm going to put my flair on it. You can do that if you want. I'm going to say, get into a gym. Go to a gym on a regular basis. Get in there and move your body. Now, Forbes article is all about a solo sport like biking or yoga. They call a sport anything solo, hiking, because it not only moves your body, but it builds your mental health. You get a sense of happiness. You get a hit of adrenaline. It feels good to move your body. No one will ever dispute that. It's getting yourself to the point to want to move it, right? That's the thing people struggle with. But what if you go to a gym and you start moving your body and you get that adrenaline rush? Like, I did it. I'm going to just do it 3 days a week. Give yourself the promise that you'll do it 3 days a week. And then you start to meet other people who are also on the journey of improving their health. Anyone in the gym is into self-improvement. Anybody there. They had to drag themselves to get themselves there, or they're addicted to it, right? There's not people that are like, I'm just here, unless they're employees. They either got themselves the motivation and dug deep to show up because they really want improvement, or they're already in the path of self-improvement and they're addicted to exercise. I've been there. I know what that feels like too. But here's the thing. You meet people on the path of self-improvement. Those are amazing people to be with. Right? You're all about self-improvement, or you wouldn't be listening to this episode. So join a gym. Yes, you can do a solo sport, but that keeps you a little isolated. I feel like Forbes was a little off on that one. It will give you the adrenaline hit. You will get a source of happiness if you go for a hike. But if you go to a gym, you get more. Or just go to a yoga studio or a dance studio, something where there's fitness involved and body movement involved. You are going to feel so good, and you'll meet other people that like self-improvement. Win-win. The last suggestion for getting out of loneliness as a busy woman is invest in the relationships that are closest to you. Invest in them. For me, honestly, my closest relationships are my kids, and they're in their 20s. And it's amazing because I'm not parenting them anymore. I'm more like their cheerleader. And if you're a parent of adult children, you know what that's like, right? It's just a completely different relationship than when you're I'm always their mom, but I'm not momming them. So right now, I love investing time with my kids, but also the couple close friends that I do have. I am not a big girl gang person, as extroverted as I am. I've always been only one or two confidants. You have that. I'm sure you have one person. Maybe you let it go. Maybe they moved away. Maybe the relationship kind of disintegrated over years, but you've had it. You've had at least one person that you could confide in. I have that. I'm blessed to have that. And we're the kind of relationship where we don't have to text and call every day, but we do make intention about getting together. We make it intentional. We don't let a month go by where we don't hang out. She lives close by. Someone that, my kids know her. She's part of my life. She's integrated into my life in some way. If you have someone like that, invest in the time. Don't wait for them to reach out to you. They're busy. They probably are thinking, gosh, I need to reach out to her. And they get busy and forget, just like you do. So if you're feeling that loneliness thing right now, be proactive and reach out and say, hey, how's it going? It's been a while. I would love to connect. Are you free next week? Or what days are you free next week? Let's grab lunch, dinner, coffee, whatever. Put yourself out there. And if they're too busy to meet, put yourself out there to something else, like going to the gym or going to a networking event or whatever, anything that I've just said on the list resonated, go do that. Resurrect your hobby. Put yourself out there. The acknowledgement of being lonely has to happen first, and the acknowledgement of taking responsibility for getting out of the loneliness is on you. It's on me. So it's a thing. And I'm really glad you spent time with me to listen to this. I hope it helped you. If you're a super entrepreneurial person, I hope you go and create a mastermind. And I hope it works. And I hope that you end up charging for it so that you can even benefit from it in more ways than one. Okay, my friend, if this episode was helpful for you, hit the stars on Apple Podcasts for me. Give me a review. I would love to know if I am meeting your needs in these episodes. And until next time, have a fierce, fit, feminine, and fabulous day.